guys. You guys are on live with Canada Talk with Roz. Eric, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Are you typing away? What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. It's Friday. It's the end of the week. It don't feel like the end of the week. It feels like we're still in the middle of the week, but it's all good. Canada Talk with Roz is here. We got some fire guests celebrating the women.
We got some fire.
The queens that's doing some big things. You know what I mean? So I'm excited.
Yes. Hey, listen, guys. Everybody out there. Last week with Canada Talk with Roz, Eric wasn't here, and then our guest ended up having a technology issue. So last week, Eric, I was freestyling it.
Oh, okay. That's what's up, man.
I was answering questions. I'm like, just put your question in the chat. Let me know what you want to talk about.
Yeah.
So thank you, guys.
I apologize. I couldn't be here last week, man, but we were putting some seeds in the ground.
Yes.
Dealing with the farmers and whatnot. So exciting times.
Listen, I was freestyling. When I tell you, I was like, all right, now, I was like, hey, Antoine, how you doing? What's your question? Hey, so we had a good time. It was not our normal show, but you know what? We may do those Ask Me Anything segments every now and then because it really gave people a chance to just weigh in on any topic and basically for us to off the dome to have a conversation and give feedback. So everybody that's on, thank you guys. You are now live with Canada Talk with Roz. It's Friday, March 5th, and I'm so happy to have you guys here. We love you guys. We were just coming out of Black History Month, but we're celebrating Black History 365 days a year, so unapologetically.
This is our year right here, man.
This is our year. We coming through. When I say we coming through, we coming through. So with that being said, March is an awesome month because it's Women's History Month. And I will tell you this, I feel like I've been in the game. This is my 5-year anniversary coming up this year, 2021, and multiply that times 7 because that's how many dog years I think I've been in. So I feel like I'm kind of old and a little, ready to retire. But there's some new, innovative, energetic voices, women of color in cannabis that are coming to the forefront. And today is all about talking to these young ladies and talking about their place in the industry, what they're doing, and just talking about how they're driving this industry with grace and humility. And so I'm just so excited, and let's get it popping, man.
Let's do it, man. And I've always said that women, y'all been kicking butt and taking names. Fellas, we gotta get it together, man. These ladies
gotta get together. Our fellas are great. Yeah, absolutely. So first, without further ado, I'm gonna bring our guests in. Hi, Lakisha. Hi, Jay. What's going on? Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So we did our little intro. Everybody knows us, so they don't really care about me and E. They see us every single week. What we want to do is first and foremost is thank you guys for being on the show with us today. And Jay, will you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, like where your name, where you're from, what do you do in this space, and and just a little bit about how long you've been with cannabis.
Absolutely. So I'm Jay. I am the owner of Zen Wellness. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I have been living in Los Angeles for about 7 years now, which is crazy. So I have, and a little more firsthand experience than some people, a lot of experience in the legacy market. I'm from North Carolina, ain't too much legal around there, but
Right.
But I also grew up with a very holistic grandmother who had a vegetable farm. So I used to help her grow veggies, and mostly for her, it was for survival during her lifetime. And then it turned into cultivation of wellness. So to this day, I don't eat anything out of a can or box. Everything is fresh, and that's how we do things. So I ended up getting into CBD in 2014 when I moved to Los Angeles because due to some activity in that legacy market, I had a car accident and hurt my neck really bad. And I could not figure out anything to really help with the pain. And I was introduced to CBD when I moved to California because when I moved here with my country behind, everything just opened up for me. And I was like, wow, this is great. It was just so liberal and free on some, aspects that I had not experienced as a Black woman from the South. So it got into the CBD and started ingesting and noticed that it really helped with pain management for me, as well as sleep, anxiety, and some other things. So I started making my own products as I also have a background in cosmetology. So I started making products, started pushing products because legacy market teach you how to hustle. You know what I'm saying? And I was in school pushing them to everybody, and people started loving it. So then recently, I got tired of really just making the products myself because it became way too much. And I'm learning how to work smarter, not harder these days. So I am now, I've just created Zen, and it is a CBD spa product line, and still along the lines of wellness, promoting luxury, specifically in the lives of Black women, because that's who I'm here for. However, whoever else wants to participate is welcome. But I do this for us always. So yeah, that's how Zen got started, and I'm interested in learning so much more about this space because, like I said, you know, I got the legacy market game, but I'm learning how to do this the right way. So, anyway, and I'm super passionate about it.
And we can feel your energy and your passion, and we're going to talk about that, about the legacy market and the opportunity that this regulated industry presents. And I really want to, like, without self-incriminating yourself based upon, you know, maybe past activities, but really get from you the vibe of that legacy market, because I really think people don't understand that folks wasn't trying to just to do something just to be doing it. You really were creating an opportunity of being able to provide for yourself and your family. So we're going to hold off on that. We're going to talk more about it, but let's make sure we introduce, hey, Miss Lakisha Ashley, welcome to the show. To please share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're, you know, what do you do in the industry, and then also how long have you been working in the field?
Wow. So I'm Lakisha Ashley. I am a licensed clinical social worker, also a psychotherapist, certified in trauma and anxiety, and I also do telemental health. I actually came up into the cannabis space, honestly, because of everything we were just talking about. So I've been a social worker for 10 years. I've been a psychotherapist for about 5 years now, in private practice for about 5 years as well. I am the owner of Baltimore-based Trap Therapy, so that's like tackling real ass problems daily. Because
what you call it, girl? What you call it? Trap Therapy?
Yo, I picked up on that same thing, man.
Yeah, tackling real ass problems daily. I had to make a market for myself. I'm a Brook girl. I'm originally, like I said, I'm originally from Brooklyn. I live in Baltimore right now, and I gotta meet my clients where they are. Talking about these real spaces and these real things. So, that's what I base my practice on. And with that, I became very interested in creating canna-friendly, canna-positive spaces, because what we're trying to see is that, you know, we can't be honest in therapy. We can't be honest with our paraprofessionals. We can't be honest with our doctors about our uses with cannabis. And a lot of that comes down from the stigmas and the systems that have been perpetuated in our households. So my journey really started when I noticed that with my own anxiety, and even as a therapist, you know, I don't push pills on people. I want them to see the broader picture of holistic medicines and holistic and all plant-based medicines. And cannabis happens to be one of them. So with me and my own anxiety, I went through the trials and tribulations of going through the legacy market and then getting a medical marijuana card, but I understood the trials and tribulations in that. So I stepped into the space of actually becoming an advocate and letting people know, like, you know, whatever you're smoking or ingesting cannabis in the wrong way or in any kind of way could be counterproductive to what I'm diagnosing you with. If I'm diagnosing you with depression and anxiety and you smoking loud out, that could be, and this is on a basic level of indica and sativa. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like, it's counterproductive of what we're talking about and what you're doing as far as saying this utilizes or this mobilizes me, or I need to smoke, or I need to use cannabis. But we are more education based with the clients. And then also that made me go into advocacy, because as women and as families, especially people of color, we know that the systems have literally tore our families apart. And there's so much that goes into us even having access to safe plant medicines, period. And, you know, I want to speak that language. I want to be able to be there and be the advocate for families and Black families and women about why we use it, because we have to learn that language. And I want to arm us with that language. We have to talk that science. We got to talk the advocacy. We got to be able to say, I'm supplementing my endocannabinoid system because. So I want to be that person to teach that language.
You better say that. Listen, you two are both a breath of, oh my gosh, my spirit is just floating on the air.
I'm curious, Lakisha, you know, when you said trap, I just had this conversation with a good friend of mine the other day. He's a successful engineer, worked at several different engineering firms and so on. And he was like, I love what I do, but it's more and more feeling like this is the trap. When I was out there hustling, that didn't feel like the trap. You know what I mean? It felt more liberating, more free. And you talk about how you help people deal with everyday problems. And can you speak to some of the problems you see people from our communities come in with? I know you've already spoken a little bit about mothers and just that role that people play, but can you talk about a little bit more of that as well?
I mean, all your roles, because what we feel and realize is so and that's what I love about my practice. Like, I try to take our diagnoses or what we are diagnosed with on paper and normalize them. So if you're diagnosed with depression, right, you have to understand that depression is a depression of cells. There's a depression in your environment. There are different things. So your brain is literally going to react into what the environment that you are in. So if your environment is not conducive to you growing or and feeding and nourishing yourself, that's one thing that is an issue. So like with depression and anxiety, a lot of times our anxiety are feelings that we have in our bodies that we just don't know how to manage, and so they can go left or right. So with me, I try to normalize and say, okay, maybe this is your gut feeling. Let's recreate and reestablish your trust with your gut, and then we can work that way. So it's definitely anxiety, is depression, is PTSD. This is one of the biggest platforms that I stand on, and this is coming from a military brat. Both of my parents are 20-something years deep in the military, and they both suffer from PTSD. But with me working in the inner city, in the communities, and just growing up where I grew up, we have to understand that PTSD is an environmental thing. We do suffer from PTSD in these urban environments based on what we have gone through. And so even going back to cannabis, it sucks that you have to have either I know here in Maryland, you have to either have a physical ailment or PTSD by way of being a veteran in order to get safe access, because they have not yet science with environment and say that, hey, being in these systems, being part of this, a product of your environment, can very well cause the same symptoms, the same things that anxiety and PTSD cause. And I don't have to be in Baghdad. Baltimore is Baghdad. I can show it to you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Hey Jay, when going back to your kind of, when you knew that you had to make a change from leaving Carolina and going to California, like, did you suffer from the like I remember when I moved to California, I left Florida, and just you had like this traumatic event that happened or what have you. So you said you were trying to manage your pain. Were you also having like anxiety and different things that kind of correlated to it, and that you saw that these cannabinoid based products were really helping you, and it really kind of gave you that oomph to say, listen, I need to help other people?
Absolutely. So like Lakisha was saying, we suffer from PTSD in our own right. So on top of the accident and that pain, that just escalated the pain for me in certain areas because I had a physical injury, Taking the CBD did not only help the physical injury, it helped me overall. So it helped me to cope better with my PTSD. And I realized that I was calmer. I wasn't as reactive. I became much more tolerable with a lot of things. You know what I mean? So it was very, very helpful in that, right? And then I just noticed over time and consistency in taking it, how it changed me overall. So I wanted to put that message out to other people as well. And that's why I started making my own products. And it started off as just like light massages, because we all suffer from headaches, sleep deprivation, anxiety, and stress as Black people. That's just what comes with our existence, unfortunately. So I started giving head massages. I have people in my salon chair, while they getting their head massage, I throw a little CBD in there, increase the price a little bit on that, and have a good old massage, and then and be able to educate them on CBD. And then I'm a very self-taught person, so I research everything. I done researched all y'all today, so I know a little bit about y'all too.
Well, let me tell you. Hey, E, let me tell you on. So if y'all not following Jay on Instagram, when I posted that Jay was going to be on the show, my Instagram page lit up. They were so excited. So Jay, like, so give us a time frame. Have you been connected to other folks in the industry? Because this is really, and I'll be honest with you guys, this is my first time really being able to have a live one-on-one conversation. I didn't know about Zen Wellness. It was just because of Instagram and it's the power of that, as well as the new Clubhouse app that allows us to connect with people that we normally wouldn't. So how have you been able to build your base of support, or who's been your kind of cheerleaders behind you to help you push you along?
It's been really difficult to make connections in the space because people have been doing this for so long, and here I come brand new, and they, kind of don't have time for me. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's not a problem for me. I know how to bulldoze my way through things. I'm very persistent. I found you on a Clubhouse, Roz, and you were talking about M4MM, and I really, really love the initiatives, and I looked it up and saw some of the things that you guys have done, which I feel is like completely amazing, necessary, and I would love to be a part of it in some way where I can get in where I fit in. But
yes.
I met you there. I think I sent you a message immediately. And then you ended up following up with me after we followed each other, and that's just how this went.
That's how it worked. Awesome. Same thing, Lakisha. Lakisha, with your practice, so with your private practice, do you, with COVID and everything that happened last year, did it affect it, and how did you personally kind of push through in order to continue doing the work you're doing? And was cannabis a help there in regards to that? I'm sure it was. Yes.
Listen, hey, Roz, if 2020 going through that pandemic, if y'all wasn't smoking cannabis, I don't know how y'all was making it through.
Exactly.
That's just me. That's just me.
Okay. I mean, the real kind. I mean, 2020 actually gave me my... Yeah, Eric. Okay. I think, honestly enough, I think that's what made me dip into the advocacy space a lot more. Because if I knew as a and I had the tools to kind of navigate my mental health, and I was already doing virtual, like actually my business picked up doing virtual consultations, doing virtual sessions, because a lot of people were feeling in that space of depression, and very more so, and a lot of them, a lot of diagnoses really got exacerbated, and they still are being exacerbated over these current times. And so what's happening is me fitting into the cannabis space is me identifying that, okay, I'm a user, I am a patient. So what is stopping everyone else? Why isn't everybody else feeling some type of relief? And what can we do on a holistic level? So once I identified those two things, it became a little bit easier for me to navigate what I wanted to do instead of hiding the two people who I was. Am I a therapist? Am I a weed smoker? I was now able to bridge them together and sit in an educational and advocacy space for my clients, because now it's like, hey, if I make canna-friendly therapeutic spaces where there are no restrictions, there are no barriers to how you can talk to me about what your usages are, then guess what? It makes it a lot easier for us to navigate your mental health, navigate your treatment plans, navigate exactly what you want to do, because you are being open and honest with me. And then I can sit in a space of a social worker now instead of a therapist and advocate for you if you have to go to the doctor, if you have to go in front of the court, if you have to do X, Y, and Z because you needed to supplement. So let's talk about what is going on around that. But we have to have spaces to have these clear-cut conversations where people are not scared and they're not penalized based on their use. So that's why I always say I'm pushing people to become patients, because that's the paperwork, that is the documentation that we need right now in order for me to, because I'm also going into cognitive neuroscience, for me to take what I talk to you about and put it into numbers for researchers, so that way we can open up some of these qualifying factors. So that's the disconnect. So I've been able to hopefully learn how to bridge that disconnect between environment and science and all the systems kind of in between. But it starts from those stories. It starts from creating spaces where people feel okay with saying what they have been doing, saying, I didn't know that this is what I was doing, and how can I do it better and safely?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see yourself, I mean, the research in regards to cannabinoids and mental illness, mental health, anxiety, all those different psychoses or psychotic issues that affect humans, all humans, there's not enough work done on it. What do you think needs to be, like, I mean, do we automate? There should be some type of automation of being able to say, I've been diagnosed with this, so these are the type of either strains or terpenes or cannabinoids that I need to be looked that are be great for me? What do you think needs to happen from a research perspective?
That's exactly what needs to happen. So what's happening first is, I talk about the disconnect between science and environment, because what's happened is we have to realize this science is not new. This has been taken away from us in all plant medicines. So what has happened in the past is that a lot of research has been done, but it's been done on white people or retreats for like $15,000 up in Santa Barbara, some damn where it was not us. So I want to stay away from the narrative of us being the minority in this space. We are the general population. But what has happened is that space of, like I said, so it's qualitative research and quantitative research. Quantitative research is me getting your story. Qualitative is me putting the numbers. There's a disconnect between numbers and the stories. There's a big disconnect because people can't use the avenues. We can't use our doctors. We can't use our pharmacists, our researchers. We can't get to these people who sit in this space of being able to do more of the magic when it comes down to doing legislature and making, like I said, open up these qualifying factors. So with that, and then there's a bigger disconnect between mental health and science, period, because we are now social workers, literally licensed clinical social workers, licensed clinical counselors. We sit in a very spiritual space of being able to holistically take the person. And I license it on the fact to say I'm not a psychologist, because that's more brain chemical based. I need to see the whole picture of you. What has put you in this moment? So until we recognize that, and when more social workers and counselors step up into this research space, that's where the disconnect is going to be. And luckily, I'm stepping into it. I'm understanding. That's why I say I'm a little hood, a little science, because I have to now speak language. But I have to go back and tell people, no, you're not just smoking. And let's talk about your different ways of ingestion. So when we take that language out of it, then we got something to talk about.
Hey, just before you say, before you answer your question, ain't she a little Dashita Dawson? She's like, I'm a little. She's a little. I don't know if you know Dashita Dawson. Shout out to Dashita. She used to be our chief strategy officer. She's now the director for the Portland program out there. But she's a sister. She's from Brooklyn too. And you guys, man. And she always says about bro science. She was like, we can't be just talk about bro science. We got to look at the real science of it all. And so I just love it. I just had to stop you to eat. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, you women are kicking butt and taking names, man, and I love it, man. Our beautiful queens are bringing not just beauty to the table, but so much brains and intelligence. I mean, the way that you speak about it and the passion is just amazing to me. And I have a question to you in regards to, when it comes to research, we got a huge issue in our community. One, we don't like to be open, and talk about these type of things, right? But then two, we have such a distrust or mistrust of all things that are science-based and so on, to where, it's not always the fault of the researcher that it's a purely, whitewashed research project, but because we also don't participate. And, Antoine mentioned our HBCUs, but I think maybe a part of that conversation. But I'm curious, what do you think? What do we have to do to get our people to really, open up? Because again, the more I think we participate in research, the more we'll have the data behind it of how it actually impacts our communities in particular.
Oh, that's a deep one. It's multi-layered. I stand on the principle of professionals who hold titles need to come up out of the shadows. You need to be able to stand on a premise of, we know this, like even as a therapist, I take Medicaid and Medicare. So I know that there's certain limitations within my practice that I can. So, but for a deeper level, I implore a lot of professionals to step out of the imposter syndrome and open up your spaces to allow us to come in. We know what we're dealing with. We know that we're dealing with people who only know to get loud from the loud out boy. We know that they don't know indica sativa, and if they do, it's on a basic level. So don't let your doctrine and your certificates overshadow those people. So what I say is meet the client where the client is, and then take your credentials and go back and talk to those people and meet those people where they are. That's one. Two, when it comes down to the research part, is that because we don't have canna friendly. I'm gonna just keep using canna friendly because that's what we're talking about here, but canna friendly spaces. And so when people want to actually change themselves, they really look at the fact of how many things can actually come down on them, and that part sucks. So until we create these canna friendly spaces and canna friendly professionals and have that trust and dialogue, is going to be very difficult. So we all have to show up in a very different way in order to get that research, to get it research to where it hits home to the general population, like I like to say. And then, so it's very multi-layered, but it's very deep rooted and systematic. You know, why we don't trust the systems. And that's a hard.
What it sounds like is we need 100 more of you, or 1,000 more of you out there on the streets, educating.
Absolutely.
And Zen too. You know, Zen, I'm curious, are you guys in a retail location, or do you do like mobile events or anything, or you guys are in e-commerce? How are you guys reaching with your products? And I'm also curious how COVID impacted your business, you know, since, you know, wellness centers and, you know, massage parlors and stuff were closed down. I'm just curious.
Absolutely. So Zen is e-commerce based for now. So I actually started Zen in COVID. I took the leap, and I have a background in excuse me. Oof, hold on one second.
Yeah, don't choke, baby. You good. and then Jay,
I'm over here. I was over here smoking before I got on here.
and I was, hey Jay, and I was going to ask you before, as you talk about where Zen is and how you create it, but I was also going to piggyback on top of that and find out the difference between a legalized state like California and a state like Lakisha. Lakisha, you're in North Carolina, right?
No, I'm in Maryland.
You're in Maryland. Yeah. Where it is? No, you don't have adult use. You just got medical, right?
We're in Maryland.
Yeah, just medical. But please talk about Zen. But I want from your perspective of just the freedom of being able to have those kind of safe spaces. That going back to what Lakisha's point there. But go ahead.
For sure, absolutely. So Zen is e-commerce for now. Like I was saying, I started it in the pandemic, and I have a background in compliance. I have so many mixed backgrounds that really contributed to why I started Zen. So compliance, and then me having some cultivation experience with my grandmother kind of triggers me to want to learn how to grow. But contributed to me and my love for CBD and THC. And then my background in cosmetology school is why I started Zen as a luxury wellness spa product brand. I also have pet products as well, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
Absolutely.
Right now, so I've been, like I said, I'm a very much in-person type of marketer. So COVID has impacted me in that way because I can't get out here and sell myself and my stuff, and I'm very good at doing that. So I've had to learn how to navigate spaces virtually via Clubhouse, via, Facebook if I can, because I learned quickly that the marketing woes in this realm are very, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, they will shut you down.
Oh, real quick. I was like, I'm not dealing with y'all. I'm gonna do stuff my own way because that's how I succeed anyhow. So learning all of these places. So really, I am a canna virgin when it comes to this side of things. So I'm making relationships right now. Everywhere I go, I'm talking about Zen, and I'm promoting luxury, wellness, freedom from anxiety, stress, sleep deprivation, pain management, all these things that we all really could use more of. And it stemmed from me beta testing through another brand of mine, which is a life coaching brand. And I life coach specifically Black women because, like Lakisha said, we got this trap lifestyle that we're in, and only we understand it, right? So I want to be able to help people understand their issues and then move forward in that from a life coach's perspective. So then I started to incorporate the CBD into that brand to see how it would move, and it started moving. And I was like, okay, let me carve this out into its own brand. And then to your point, Roz, with being in California, it's so easy to do it here. It's like, I don't have no problems. You know what I mean? The only issues that I have is building relationships. Because like I said, the pandemic has me so held down that I can't get out here and really meet people. But other than that, like that's the only issue that I'm really having. Luckily, I'm here, so I've decided I'm going to take full advantage of it because I am
Absolutely.
extremely resourceful and I know how to navigate any space. So here I am navigating, doing my dopeness and moving forward. You know what I'm saying?
Y'all so
Let me-
fly. I'm sorry.
Are they
Y'all so fly?
So Jay, let me. I want to step out of your Zen wellness and step back into when you were in the legacy market. Can you tell us?
Glasses on.
He said, we're going to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Talk about it. Because I will let both of you guys view on this. So social equity is the buzzword. Everybody's talking about it, what have you. And we have not seen the promise of social equity like we should. And I would love to know from your perspective of, the ideal social equity is someone that has been harmed by the war on drugs, who was targeted, who was arrested for a joint, or who is someone that was in the legacy market that got pinched or whatever. But can you just talk about like the reality? Do the folks that come from the legacy market, do they really believe they have an opportunity? What do you guys know about social equity, and how do we really bring in the legacy market to an opportunity that is being presented to all different communities, but the folks that were the pioneers are being left behind?
This is such a loaded question.
I know.
And
Break it out a little bit. And Lakisha, way into Lakisha, because I really want to, Eric and I talk about this all the time, so we're going to just shut up and let y'all talk about like what are the challenges, the issues, and what's the mentality like? What are people looking like thinking like, I went to jail for this, and now it's legal, and it's now white guys who are running it. So I'll let you guys talk.
I'll just real quick go. I still, when Lakisha was talking about, the transparency piece and being able to be your full self in sessions with her or just other therapists like her, my heart started racing because I am, from the no face, no case generation. You understand? So being able to be transparent in a space like that would be amazing, right? So also being that I am that type of person, it was very difficult for me to accept the reality that I could do this without no problems. I still got cousins and folks locked up right now, for this, which is even more of a reason that I want to do this the right way. And not just for them, but for people like them, for people who have gotten out, possibly, hopefully. And, there's opportunity here for them as well, because, if it wasn't for that part of the market, we wouldn't know. Some of us, including myself, wouldn't know anything about it. So that was my gateway into it. You know what I mean? I think that people like me who have experienced both sides will be, needed in creating that path so that they can feel trust in that space, because that's what it's going to take. It's hard. We don't trust this mess, none of this shit, really. It's been, not geared for our success the entire time we've existed here. So it's very difficult to get people to want to trust. But somebody like myself who speak both languages, I think I could definitely help bridge that gap. And that's what I mean when I say get in where I fit in, because I know that we have to tackle this from all sides. Everybody has their own strengths, and we have to work together in order to push our agendas. So that's my there. Yeah.
I love it. Lakisha, your thoughts?
I think, honestly, I think that I think social equity is a crock of BS. I'm gonna just be honest with you. It's another thing, just like regenification of our communities. So if you sit here and you coming in and you don't have a clue as to what this community is, or you just buy a couple of property or hire somebody who live in that area to get your store up and running, you're actually doing a disservice to me and my community, to be honest with you, because that means that you're not going to get education, you're not going to get them the right product that they need. You're not. So I really look at social equity, especially the ones, the young men and women, or even the older men and women before us, who came into the space and have been locked up, and now coming home and seeing dispensaries on the corner of the house where they just came from. And then guess what? Then they still can't even go in there and get none. So let's go there. Now you can't even go in there and get none because you don't even have access to it. So it's like
it's a slap in the face.
It's a slap in the damn face. And so for me, I really push compassion programs a lot more because I do understand people got to make their money. But at the end of the day, in order for us to have safe access, don't have to worry about this regentrification process and literally take back our communities, our products, our sciences, because that's what it really comes down to. Take back all these things of us. I really push compassion programs so we can get the what we need in the right way to the right people and rebuild us and navigate laws and navigate what we need to do in order to do it ourselves. I think that social equity was not put in place for us, even though they said that it was, because as soon as you get into the position of wanting to do better or can do better, you're slapped in the face with all these other, if it's not the dollar, then it's the damn legislation, then it's a stipulation, then it's another piece of paper that you got to kind of, and they made it very hard to navigate, which is that they do everything. Just look at it like they make going to school and getting a degree hard, so that way we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, both of you guys. Go ahead, Ross.
No, go, Eric. Go.
I was going to say both of you guys touched on something that I want to have y'all go a little bit deeper on. Both of y'all touched on doing this the right way, right? And I think that has multiple meanings. Obviously, we want to operate in a compliant way with the laws, but we also want to do right by our communities, and that sometimes can be at odds. And you know, what has been the struggle? I mean, for you, Jay, what coming from the legacy market into the compliant market, if you will, what do you say has been the biggest hurdle in trying to do the right thing, both by being compliant and by your community?
For me is the education piece. So because I don't know a ton about the right way, I'm in CBD right now, so I know it's a free for all around here. But when it comes to the marijuana piece, I think I just need to know more, and I think that would be very helpful in us being able to navigate where we're going. Because this was still legacy market. I know what to do. You know what I'm saying, or allegedly.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, but let's go back. But let's go back to the point that, and I know we have an adult use market, but I still have issues with the fact that we create these medical programs. They're very limited in scope. They were very limited in access, very limited in education, and at the end of the day, and affordability. And at the end of the day, this plant is for a health and wellness perspective. I don't care if you're someone that has been an active user every single day. You are utilizing it to supplement your endocannabinoid system. Is that Lakisha? Your thoughts?
No, that's exactly where I'm coming from. So what Eric was talking about the right way and what we consider the right way based on paper and what we consider the right way based on our community is that's a very touchy subject. But see, to me, it's like we've always been in this war against everything, and we've always learned that we had to fight revolutionary. But sometimes we need to, and I'm not saying we got to stand on the bandwagon of the systems, but to me, is a combination of taking what we know as doctrines and as certificates and as laws and whatever, and manipulating them, working our magic that we do and utilizing them for our communities, because they're put in place to either separate us. So now we have to have the people who can read that language, the lawyers and the scientists and everybody to come in and show us what we got to do from the ground up. You kind of get what I'm saying? So it's not a war. We don't have to separate the two. We have to make the two work together in order for it to be the right way. It doesn't always, because there's passion on the ground and there's passion in behind the building. So we gotta figure out the people who are behind the building with the passion and meet them with the people on the ground. That's the right way. That's the only way.
Yep.
Yeah. And let's even talk about the social justice of expunging people's records and being able to clear people from past harms, and how clearly important it is. And Jay, you kind of intimated about having loved ones that are still behind bars for this plant. That, and especially I'm old school, so I'll tell you, for everybody, I'm 51 years old, and so when I went to school and when I was in high school and went off to college, those were the late 80s, and we had something called the Duke Boys, and they used to come into my community, and we would go run outside to go see the Duke Boys, because we knew they were raiding the house, and they were raiding, and a lot of times in my neighbor across the street, they raided that lady's house. And she was not a drug user, or she was not, she was not of course, in the market or what have you, and left. I remember leaving her door wide open and windows where they bust in, and there was nothing there. And so the trauma. So that goes back to the trap, right? What we call it, the trap therapy. The trauma of that, if you live in that home, is real. So I just think we have so many different conversations that we got to square up.
Yep. That's really what it comes down to. People get scared or sit in certain spaces and think that space is the only space. Everybody, like, first of all, we're talking about cannabis. Cannabis is a female plant. So let's get this together. And we're talking about dealing with people holistically, dealing with environmental holistically. We had to go back to we're dealing with the whole plant. There's so many pieces to the plant, CBD, hemp. We do so much with it. So why do we think there's going to be one way to get us to be holistic with it? You know what I mean? Yeah. We have to have everybody do their part in their part and not be ashamed or not be scared. And we have to, knock down a lot of these systems. The federal government has really done a number on us that we can't even take something that goes from the ground and be okay with it. Now, how crazy does that sound? We can't even be okay with something that goes from the ground. We have to have this conversation. And it's really, and it's crazy to me. But because of that, and because we live on the world that we live in right now, we have to navigate them based on the systems that are in place. Because if we keep fighting, hardcore fighting, we see what the war on drugs looks like. And it ain't gonna do nothing but it's tougher. So we want them to lax up. We got to step in some of these places and start the osmosis process of weeding in. You know what I'm saying? We have to be able to do it strategically. It's strategic. I tell people all the time, you don't navigate chess without looking at the board first.
Right, of course. How do we, Jay? You have a product line, and it's a luxury product line, and it's and it's for women. And I know there's an opportunity for women of color. How do we get over the hump of this? I'm not familiar. I don't know what it is. It's we have the church still putting a negative connotation around this. We have school people. I mean, we still have our communities that are still giving this plant the backhand. What's your plan from a marketing perspective of how you want to get out the messaging about who is Zen Wellness and what can it do, and specifically to our community and to the ladies in our community?
Absolutely. So I think the stigmas are coming down, maybe, slowly in certain areas and maybe even certain age groups and demographics. But I'm really here for pushing things for those who are, on the same page as I am, and also providing the educational piece. Eventually, you'll get on board or you won't. I'm not really here for those who are not really trying to get on board. That's just me being a I'm not trying to change your mind like that, you know what I'm saying? But I got something real good right here that if you like it, and I'm sure that you will if you try it and take your walls down. If not, hey, be over here with the folks that's pushing change, that's pushing wellness, that's pushing all of the things good for our community. Because my realistic expectation is not that everybody on board. I mean, definitely not. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here for those who are pushing change and pushing positivity when it comes to this, and that's my tribe, that's my group. Those are the people that I want to make connections with, and along the way provide education specifically to those people who have been negatively impacted by this. I think that we can make some change in that area and just helping those people live a more fearless life when it comes to this plant. Because that we ain't trying to take these penitentiary chances no more, understand? But we need to understand how not to, what we can do, and that all comes from an educational piece. So the more that we know, the more that we can share with each other and have these sorts of conversations and fill in those gaps, I think the further along we'll go. And to Lakisha's point, this social equity thing and anything that really these white folks don't put on us ain't never been for our greater good anyway. So whatever it is that they do regulate and however they regulate it, we got to take what it is that we know and incorporate it into that, find these loopholes, or whatever it is, because they finding them. That's how they survive. That's how they play. And we need to play our game by our own rules and create our own spaces.
Hey,
go ahead. Go ahead.
I think 2021, to me, in my opinion, y'all may feel differently about this. I think there's been no greater time to be Black in this country than 2021. And I think folks are from other communities are starting to wake up and recognize some of the value that we've always been bringing. And I'm just curious, for both of you, has your business, are you seeing that type of, kind of turning in from other communities, coming to you and recognizing the value and so on that you're bringing as well?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. In this day and age of what we know of mental health for Black folks, and I hate this thing. I talk about this all the time. How we call it now biohacking, when all of a sudden it was just sitting down for mindfulness, meditating, being within yourself, praying. We called that we knew that
Old
was
school stuff. Old school stuff.
Right.
old school stuff.
Is that what they call it now? That's what they call it again?
Biohacking. Anytime you pray or you do anything for your body, it's called biohacking. And they sell it everywhere. Yeah. Yeah. I had to say it therapist can show you how to deep breathe. And I could charge you $275 because I told you how to deep breathe from your belly. Yes. And this is a therapist telling you I hate the shit. Excuse my language. This is coming from a therapist telling you I hate it. So it's like when things have been separated and took from us and then repackaged back to us, and it sucks. And it's just like what Jay said, we have to, figure out and play that game. But when you talk about Ron's about with the older folks in the community and how we, what I do is I literally, is education. And if you're smoking and your method of ingestion is your first introduction, let me now talk to you about, hey, you might not even need to be you might not be a combustible person. You might not even need THC. Hey, let me even show you CBD. Did you even know that was out there? No, all you knew was the loud out boy. So let's talk about these other methods. Let's talk about RSOs. Let's talk about other ways that you don't have to put yourself in a limelight of literally going to jail. Let's see how you can get the relief without the backlash. And that's where we get it confused. I'm not here to change your dysfunction. I'm here to help you act functionally in it. Because no matter how you look at it, they're going to call it dysfunction. So let me help you learn how to act functionally where you're underneath the radar, but you're still getting the relief that you need.
Quality of life, like literally the quality of your life in regards to having options. I believe options and being educated and having a better quality of life that supplements. I will tell you someone that is, and it's just sharing, and I know that Lakisha, you probably but first shout out to all the social workers, because social workers rule the world.
National Social Work Month, guys.
Yes, the work that you do. I come from pharma, and then I ended up spending 9 years in hospice care. And so I work very closely with social workers and dealing with end of life and understanding it and sharing that the end of life care through hospice is a gift of life. And so the work that you do is fantastic. So I just want to, God bless you for that. Absolutely. But with all that being said, there is value in this plant from a wellness perspective, especially when you're talking about women who are suffering from different type of life-changing things as you get older. One thing I suffer from is lack of sleep. I can't sleep. And so I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm sure that Zen Wellness has a product that's a great sleep product that doesn't make you feel like crap. It doesn't make you like wake up feeling like crap. Like literally, have you ever seen a plant so wonderful that it just gives you so many different ways that it can affect your body in a positive way? And we don't even give our community a chance to even just think beyond just a puff pass, right? God bless you, Richard Clement Sr. I know you said puff pass, but we
got to move beyond. It has so much more to offer, and I'm curious if you guys even talk about nutrition as well. My company, Hemp and Fork, we focus on the superfood that comes from this plant, the seed itself. And again, if we're talking health, we can't talk health and not talk food. You know what I mean? And what we're putting in our bodies. And I think we as a community, we got to start looking beyond, again, just the pharmaceuticals and what these white coat doctors tell us we need to do to heal ourselves, and look at things from a much more holistic standpoint. What are we putting in our bodies on a daily basis? And how is that contributing to all of these things we talked about? Anxiety, lack of sleep, depression, all of these things are not, they don't come in a silo. They operate as a larger function in the body.
Exactly.
Lakisha, I got a question for you. So we know that PTSD is one of the medical conditions that's prevalent throughout the different states that have a medical program. You mentioned about Maryland has to be active PTSD, where you were in some type of active or activity that, and not from an environmental perspective. Most states don't differentiate. If you can be diagnosed. Can you give our listeners pointers if they're suffering out here from anxiety, suffering from something that's something that's related, that's interrupting their daily functioning? What should they be saying to their recommending physician in order to make sure they qualify for that card? Are there some buzzwords that you can share?
So
or
right now,
thoughts about that?
absolutely. So right now, when you're seeing your licensed practitioner, in order to get your medical marijuana card, your key words definitely should be, for especially if you're waiting for them to diagnose you, because I know the process is different in a lot of states. Here in Maryland, you don't have to have any pre-qualifying anything. You can literally go to a licensed nurse practitioner who sits in the cannabis space and tell them what your things are. So you want to speak about things about your eating habits, either you're eating or not. Sleeping is a big deal. You want to know if you have insomnia. They are trained to understand different pain elements. A lot of times your physical qualifying factors will come from your medical doctor. But when you're coming to, like I said, PTSD and anxiety, you want to speak about your experience. They spend about 45 minutes with you. So talk about some of the traumatic things that have happened in your life and why you're trying to change them. It's also good to say that you have experimented with marijuana before, and that way that you know that it's something that you're not just trying and you're not just allowing someone to kind of diagnose you. And I hate that even when we go to white coat doctor, we never tried this stuff before, right? And we allow them to put us on any pill and say if it's going to work or not. At least when you step into a nurse practitioner's office in order to get your medical marijuana, you can sit here and say, well, listen, I have, and you don't have to worry about stipulations, because then they actually dig deeper into, well, how did it make you feel? Did you journal it? Figure out, how it helped you. So some of the key buzzwords is definitely talk about your eating habit, your sleeping habit, your stress levels, and certain qualifying things in your environment. So when
and how that affects your
your daily living.
So work, family, level, those times where you feel. I know when I lost my mom, I went to a therapist and I just felt like I couldn't get traction. I felt like I was in quicksand. So those demonstrative ways, like that should be a safe space for people to have a conversation, to be real about what they're really feeling. Like if we're not real with ourselves or with our loved one, that therapist, you, Lakisha, that's space for me to get real with you. Don't you think?
Yes,
so that you can get better, so you can help me to get better.
Exactly. And that's exactly it. One of the things that I love about like licensed social workers and counselors, like I was saying, we sit in this really unique space of we don't prescribe, right? So that's why I do bridge with compassionate programs or licensed practitioners or care nurses and things like that. Because if I educate you and I suggest, then I can refer. You got to get what I'm saying? So it's a lot better and it works that way. But unfortunately, when we sit in the spaces of Medicaid and Medicare, things that people really are, I have to go back to compassion, because at the end of the day, one, Medicaid doesn't pay for it. Medicare doesn't pay for it. Like, let's be clear. And so that's also a barrier to the access. People may get their medical marijuana card and then step into the dispensary and can't afford it. So they still stepping back out on the street to the $10 loud out boy.
Right.
So that is where we sit in that space of, if you know better, you do better. So you have to be able to talk to me and tell me so that we can figure it out. So I can be like, you know what? You may not be able to smoke, but let me call Jay real quick on the phone because she got some cream for you. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So we have to have those real conversations and be able. So I need people who will sit in these spaces of coaches and therapists and clinicians and practitioners to really look at their legislation, look at their certified governing boards of the spaces that they sit in, and see where that loophole is. I happen to find mine in social work because I'm a psychotherapist. I can diagnose you, but I will have, in order, if you tell me that you want a pill, then I will send you to a psychiatrist. If you tell me you want marijuana, I will send you to an herbalist. But we're still working on the things that got you there.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, as we start to wrap up or whatever, I really want to hear from both of you, and I want to start with you, Jay. What do you see yourself in the next 5 years? What are your goals? I mean, with Zen Wellness, but maybe other things that you have that are going to be incorporated. But in the next 5 years, what are you some of the big milestones that you want to cross, and how can folks that are listening, let them know what you want from them, how to stay connected with you, and just being able to follow you on your journey?
Absolutely. So I'm going to touch back on one of Eric's points earlier, and he was talking about some food stuff and wellness overall. So I want to promote healthy, luxurious lifestyles with Zen. That's something that I definitely want to promote, as well as educating yourself on this plant, on CBD, and understanding what it can do for you. In the, let's see, I'll say in the next couple of years, I definitely want to have made some really, really good relationships in the social equity space and making some good relationships with folks like yourselves and others, that we can just kind of create some paths for our folks that may not exist right now, really understand how we get in where we fit in. For me, I feel like my voice really does exist in bridging that gap between legacy and the right thing. So whatever that looks like, and however I can work with folks to just push some of those initiatives, connect with some people, educate myself, learn some things that I can take back to some folks. That's definitely where I want to go in the next 5 years.
You guys, did you and Lakisha know each other before this show?
No.
Well, now y'all do. So that's your listen. Because you got something that she need, and she got something that you need. You talked about 100%, education.
100%. So, it's already about to be all up in that inbox. Don't even worry about it.
I'm telling you, and y'all vibe and y'all energy, and so. And this is what Can Talk with Roz is about. This is what M4MM is about. Being able to create community. E will always tell you about, you got to find your tribe, find go somewhere and find folks that think like you, that support you. And I'm so glad, because you guys there is something that you guys both can collaborate and work on together. I see it. I'm not maybe I'm not a visionary. I mean, not like I'm spirit driven.
The energy is there. The energy is fully there. So we definitely got some things that we need to talk about. And I'm a creative by nature. So I'm into creating new shit too. So if it's something that doesn't exist, we can be the creator of that. And that comes with the education piece and us figuring out where those gaps exist, because those gaps for us are not the same as these other hurdles that these white folks will have. They got their own stuff. We got our own set of problems that we need to work on together collectively, and we need to figure that out and push forward with it. So
let me tell you something, because there is I'm gonna give y'all some nuggets right now, and then we're gonna sidebar afterwards. So we about to get down for real, because I got a job for both of y'all within M4MM, so y'all don't even know. But I'm gonna tell you something. There is a extreme need for conversation about mental illness, suicide, the PTSD, not only for the whole entire country and what have you, but I don't apologize. I worry about our community and about our wellness and our young folks that are coming up and being able to utilize this plant, utilize it responsibly, but also make sure, Lakisha, your point about if you're suffering from, agitation or what have you, and you're participating or consuming a strain of cannabis that is only going to counteract your issues that you have going on, I think there has to be some type of technology platform, and you guys maybe work together on this, that deals with these different psychosis, and I don't know if I'm saying the right words, but psychotic moments, areas of mental illness or mental health stressors, and figuring out different cannabinoids that will help that. Just that alone, just a very focused approach on the mental health, the anxiety, the stress part. That by itself could be not only a money maker, but it could be a problem solver for so many communities. So that's a free one. Y'all got that. Now take it.
Let me tell you something. I'm gonna say I'm 2 steps ahead, just because we're literally looking at that, and there's some challenges with it, because as we know with cannabis, even on a physical health problem, there's so many endocannabinoids, so many terpene profiles. Everybody is literally individualized. So when you talk about adding environment and mental health, all of it. So it's like a lot that we have to look at, but trust me, it's a couple of us are stepping out into this space and speaking this language.
even a guide, maybe it may not be, maybe it's not like data driven, but a guide to give people a guide in regards to how to navigate, I think would be so awesome. Lakisha, same question. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you want to go with your practice? What, you have something else in the belly? It sounds like you do. Tell the people and make sure they stay in contact with you.
So for real, Lakisha is doing what she's doing. In the next 5 years, I really see myself just sitting on more platforms like this, giving more education, letting my voice be heard, advocating for people, advocating for patients. I want to see these laws change so we can do what we got to do. So I'm in a secret society in the background where I'm sitting here talking on the high platforms, but giving my people the secrets. I'm that one. I like sitting in that space so I could come to them and be like, look, this is what we got to do, y'all. Come on over here. Get 15 of y'all to get this card. So they can be like, oh, snap, it's 15 of y'all to get this card. You kind of get what I'm saying? So I like sitting in that space. I want to bring a lot more advocacy, a lot more awareness, a lot more education to people like me. I also see my practice expanding into training, more so training professionals to sit in this cannabis space. And being okay with it and knowing what they're talking about and knowing how to navigate these systems. But I'm really big on really just getting this knowledge out here. So if people, I don't know if I'm ever going to have my own like YouTube or podcast or something, but
speak it into existence, girl.
Listen, something I always say I'm here for other people's spaces because I maybe that's just my thing. Maybe I just be a speaker. Maybe that's kind of where I'm looking toward head in the next 5 years. So if you guys see me and you want invite me and I just sit or maybe do a TED talk one day or something like that.
Well, listen, I already got some.
I'm teaching myself for a couple things, girl.
Yeah,
exactly.
For them right now is a California-based wellness and mental mindness women's weekend. And I'm gonna leave it at that and let y'all go.
Oh yeah, I'm about that too.
Y'all let me know.
Listen, we need some ebooks too. Some ebooks. We need all that.
My wife's ticket, and I'm gonna take care of the kids for that weekend, and y'all gonna go on and do the thing. And so I love what you got, the energy you guys bring. Again, I'm just loving the Black Girl Magic. I think this is y'all year by far, and I just love how you guys are, really and truly being very intentional about, we taking care of our own right now. You know what I mean? And we're willing to help others, but right now it's about us. And if you can get behind that, then you can get on this train. If you can't, then miss us with that whole thing, and we're gonna keep it pushing. So I just love again the energy that you both bring. You guys are doing some phenomenal things. I'm definitely going to be tapping in with both of y'all because I think I see some plays for Hemp and Fork and what we got going on too, and being able to connect there as well. So yeah, let's make sure real quick. I think we, as we're wrapping up, make sure you guys both let folks know where people can tap into you, where they can find you, websites, IG handles, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So you can find me at Zen, that's ZYN Wellness on IG and Facebook. And my website is zenwellness.co. So you can find me in both of those places. And I respond quickly. So come holler at me.
Is that wait, before you go anywhere, go back, E. Is that ZY Wellness or ZYN Wellness?
It's ZYN Wellness.co.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah, we'll get that fixed. So everybody is zynwellness.co. Okay, and Lakisha, same thing, my love.
So I'm out here thugging, y'all. I don't have a website. Things are in the making, I guess. I don't know how to brand myself. I'm just here. So you can hit me up on Lakisha Ashley on Facebook, Lakisha Ashley on Clubhouse, or Miss Chloe L on IG. I do respond. I do a lot of my things that way. I know I'm just out here thugging. It's crazy to be out here for a pimp. I don't know how to brand myself. So I'm not even in this. When I started to brand myself, I literally started getting nervous because I was like, well, am I going to show up as Lakisha in these spaces? So it's like, I started to be like, you know what? If somebody wants to brand me, then help me figure it out. If not, I'm just going to keep up showing up as Lakisha Ashley in these spaces.
We're going to work it out, sis. We're going to work it out.
Yeah, listen, you both of you ladies are beautiful in your own space, in your own energy. Lakisha, honestly, don't just how you are and the authenticity and the passion you have, and especially if you couple that with your expertise as a LCSW, it's just incredible. So hang on to it, don't change it. I got something for both of y'all, so we're gonna talk offline. Definitely with Lakisha, we did a webinar. Well, it was an in-person event. So hopefully when we get back in person, we can start doing this. But we did an urban PTSD we did it in the hood in our community and we had people being able, it was so cathartic. And shout out to Kebra Bolden Smith, who did this in Connecticut. She came up with the idea at the time that it was great because you had people that attended that had a chance. They had their own therapy session right there, and they needed it. They needed to get out like their traumatic experience, and then being able to then go find a practitioner that can sit with them and be able to identify if they would be if a medical marijuana card would be appropriate for them and what that means. So we're going to do big things. You guys, thank you for being on Canna Talk. Everybody's on tonight today. Not night today.
Thank you.
This has been like so fire.
Yeah,
like
for real.
I'm tongue tied right now because it's so fire. E, you got it. Take us home, brother.
Hey, and Lakisha, I want to get you connected with my wife as well. She just launched a book which is on Amazon right now, and she's just beginning this journey of telling her story and healing herself through telling the story. But in 2018, we lost a child, to a miscarriage, and we actually named her Zen. So there's that connection there as well, Jay. And so, but one of the things that her book was about was how to talk to kids about pregnancy loss. One of the things that we haven't talked enough about in our communities is what Black women deal with when we talk about pregnancies and so on. And this is a huge area of trauma that we need to address. And I think cannabis is definitely a part of that discussion and a part of that conversation. So again, I see a lot of different synergies there, man. I love what y'all are doing. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to our guests for coming on. Thank y'all just for walking in your truth and being an example for others to be able to follow behind y'all.
Thank you for your grace and humility. Thank you for the grace and humility. Oh my God, bless you.
Yeah, absolutely. And to all of our fans, man, y'all showing up, man. I love it. We're getting such great conversation in our chat nowadays. You guys are really making Canna Talk with Roz just like the premier cannabis show across the country. And we appreciate y'all. We thank y'all so much for tuning in every week and rocking with us. Continue to share the video. It'll be on live. And then as always, y'all know my message to y'all, man. Go home this weekend, love on yourself, love on your family, get some rest because come Monday morning, we got work to do and we hit the ground running again. Until next week, we'll see y'all again on another episode of Canna Talk with Roz. Love y'all, people.
Bye. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.